that will be a definite challenge.
Well, they've been learning.
Yeah, my computer shows 4 o'clock, so whenever you get the recording started. Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
My laptop says
Computer says
444, yeah.
Yep. It's like solid or
I'll wait for the recording.
Recording in progress.
There we go. Okay, welcome everybody to the June 10th Regional Board meeting. I want to recognize we're holding the meeting on the traditional territory of the Tla'amin. We have an agenda in front of us. Are there any changes to this agenda? I have not been alerted to any. Seeing no hands, would somebody like to approve the agenda? Director McCormick, thank you. Seconded by Director Fall. All in favor? Any opposed? No one opposes. That's good. Adoption of the minutes of the regular board meeting, May 28th. Are there any errors or omissions? No hands. Adopt those. Director Elliott, seconded. Director Southcott, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. Perfect. And minutes of the special regional board meeting, June 4th, 2025. Again, errors or omissions? None. Director Gisborne moves, seconded by Director Elliott. All in favor? And any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. No delegations, no unfinished business. There's correspondence. I'll speak to item 6.2 just very briefly, but does anybody else have any reason to pull an item from correspondence?
6.2.
Okay, 6.2. I just wanted to say that I've received a number of letters regarding the grizzly bear on Texada Island, and I have referred them to bodies higher up than ours, so the conservation officer and appropriate ministers in the provincial government, because that is not something that we make any decisions on. Did you want to add anything to that, or?
If I may, Chair, thank you. I am concerned that the person, the writer of the letter, has somehow taken it upon herself to believe that the people of Texada Island want to see the bear killed. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. The people on Texada are out there rooting for the bear. They're not posting where it's located to keep conservation, from knowing where it is, because their mandate is to shoot to kill. I know that because on the 31st of May, the bear paid me a visit. And I was outside gardening, and it had snuck up very quietly, didn't hear a thing. My husband yells at me from the house and points, and I turn around, and about 40 feet away, the grizzly bear is right there. So I head for the house. I run for the house, which is not the right thing to do. And I've since learned a lot more about being bear aware than I've ever had to, living in a predator-free wilderness. However, I called conservation, and I was very sorry that I did, because they arrived with guns, fully loaded with sights on them. They had a drone to track, any movement in the trees. And I was very concerned. I know they're within their mandate to do what they think is best for the animal. However, a lot of people on the island are actually cheering for the animal. And one person in particular is affiliated with a foundation in Switzerland, which has been approached to fund the relocation of this particular bear. So everyone's hoping kind of that happens. And I just wanted to clarify that, because I don't want people to go around saying that, oh, the Texadans just want to kill the bear. No, in fact, that's not so. So I wanted to make that point, and I would like to write a brief comment just for myself to the writer of this letter.
Okay, I think you can get that information offline. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, we can't say that not everybody on Texada wants to deal with it that way, but I can say that I've received multiple letters, and certainly all of them were advocating for either safe removal of the bear or just leave it alone and let it do its thing. Director Gisborne.
Yeah. One of the comments I heard was, that the conservation officer, they show up locked and loaded to shoot. They will show up armed, mainly just in case, because you never know what you're going to run into when you encounter a bear. The conservation officer's mandate is, the reduction of human wildlife conflicts and those kind of things. So if the conservation officer comes out, they may or may not have to shoot an animal. They try to prefer not to, but it is part of, it's part of their bailiwick. It's their jurisdiction, and they'll make the assessment on a case by case basis. We run into a lot of black bear issues out in Paradise Valley, so we have a lot of run-ins with conservation officers. My alternate actually had a flaw last year, and it really is up to the conservation officers to make those assessments based on the behavior of the animal. And so far, the grizzly bear that's in question was hanging around south of town, and I don't recall the conservation officers going out there to try and shoot it while it was there. And now that the bear has made the incredible journey of swimming across to Texada, I think they're mainly trying to just keep an eye on the situation. But at the end of the day, the conservation officers are the trained professionals, and they will make a determination. So if you see the bear and he's being fine, and you want to let the conservation officers know, you could even do that too, to say, hey, I saw him and he's fine and he's not causing any trouble. Because really, they're going to make the assessment of whether it needs to be destroyed or relocated or just left as is. So I'm curious to see how this plays out, because Texada doesn't have predators. Maybe they can deal with those feral cats.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to pull from said consent agenda? Mr. Gisborne?
Yeah, the solid waste management, I think 8.8, there's items where, for example, part 3 of 8.8, it has like minimum fee. It doesn't have any numbers. Do we need to pull this so that we can have those numbers today, or can we just slide it through? Question to our staff.
CEO is.
Through the chair, I think manager Casey Conovan enough direction at the meeting to bring you something to the next board meeting that's available.
Okay, so we have that information come the next board meeting.
So should it be pulled then?
I guess we're just not deciding on those items.
And just a follow-up question, because the first part of 8.8 is that the board established the following tipping fees by weight for 2025. I presume that if we pass these motions that are in the consent agenda, they don't come into effect right away. It's going to wait for an actual bylaw to come back to the board.
Yeah.
Have a bylaw signed.
Okay. So for any members of the public watching, if we pass this motion, it doesn't mean when you go there tomorrow the fees change. In that case, I'm okay with the motions as part of the consent.
Seeing no other hands, would somebody like to move the consent agenda? Directors Elliott and Gisborne. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to resolutions. Item 10.1. How do we wish to deal with this? We have a blank in there, so I understand Directors Lennox and Director Gisborne. Directors Lennox and Gisborne were nominated.
How do you feel, Director Lennox? I figure you're pretty busy these days.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile endeavor. So, but I'll defer to Director Gisborne if he thinks he has more time.
The chair, by the way.
Yep.
Where are we at here? Would somebody like to make a motion? Dr. Elliott?
I believe the discussion at the committee was to bring both names to here and have a bit of a speech from each of them, and then we vote something and elect them.
Okay.
But if Director Lennox is deferring to Director Gisborne, we could just make the motion with Director Gisborne.
Well, I did see Director Lennox's hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, Chair, along those lines, I'd like to nominate Director Gisborne for.
Okay, we heard enough. You froze up there, but we got enough out of it. So okay, we have a second by Director Elliott. Is there any discussion?
Thank you.
Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. 10.2, 2025 UBCM convention attendance and meetings with Premier and Cabinet Ministers. There are 3 motions, or no, we have 1 motion here. Sorry, all 3 items are contained under it. What's that? Well, would they all, even though that is headlines them all, they would be individual? Okay. All right, so we have 4 motions. First one regarding Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Director McCormick.
Thank you. I wanted to withdraw or ask if we could withdraw items 3 and 4 from this motion. The topic of particularly the widening of Gillies Bay Road was discussed at the meeting with MOTT. And they said, I asked if there was an advantage to us going to UBCM, and he said no. The sort of regional manager was there who advised that if it goes to UBCM, it's going to end up back in his lap. And it's already the identified #1 priority for the safety enhancement funding. So nothing has been allocated yet, but because of that being work in progress, I don't believe that it's appropriate that we meet with them regarding that issue. And also with regard to the drainage study that is being worked on. And so I personally do not believe that those two should go.
Well, I'll let the CAO, we're not quite there yet. We're still on #1, but I'll let the CAO comment here.
Through the chair, let's deal with 1, 2, 3, and 4, then we'll come back to 3 and 4.
We'll deal with 1. Let's deal with 1 right now. Right now, we're still talking about the Ministry of Indigenous Relations.
I'll move #1.
Okay, #1 has been moved. Do we have a seconder? Director McCormick, thank you very much. Any discussion on this item? Director Gisborne?
I'll be very brief. This does have to do with the Tla'amin Final Agreement and the treaty between the Tla'amin Nation and the province. I really wish and hope that our board will have a discussion with the Tla'amin Nation around these kind of topics. This was triggered by an individual property up in Area A. But the reason why I do support this is it is not the place of the regional district get in the way of the Tla'amin Nation and the provincial government. The treaty is between the Tla'amin Nation and the provincial government, the Tla'amin Nation and the federal government. So when they get such a request for lands being added to treaty settlement land, it is really the provincial and federal government's responsibility. And therefore, I think it is appropriate for us as children of the provincial government to reach out to the provincial government and ask them to be the ones responsible for consulting with our regional district and handling all that paperwork as they see fit. I don't think it would necessarily be a good idea to go to the Tla'amin and say, hey, you need to consult us and send us paperwork. And I think that'll just create a bunch more administration on all sides. I think that a good step is to reach out to the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, because this, as I'm aware, is the only regional district where we have a modern treaty First Nation that is not a member of our regional district, and that's okay. But it just means we're in a unique situation, and like to have a collaborative relationship with the province on these kind of things.
Okay, see no other hands, but the CAO does have.
Yeah, through the chair, the nation has reached out to me, and they want to know if we want them to join them in this meeting.
Awesome.
I would love that.
Is that a decision that we need to make at this time, or like take some action on it, I guess?
Through the chair, I guess we should informing the province who to expect at the meeting at some point in time. So if there's no amendment, to simply say including the representatives from the Tla'amin Nation, and I would expect we should make some type of solo resolution or motion at some later point in time.
Okay.
It might be just as wise to just make a quick amendment now with everybody's agreement to say including the Tla'amin Nation representatives.
And I'm assuming that since the Tla'amin Nation contacted you, they are showing interest in being a part of the meeting. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
they are.
I'll move that amendment.
Okay, it's been amended to include representatives from the Tla'amin Nation being in attendance at this meeting. Do I have a seconder? Right. Any discussion on the amendment?
All I gotta say is that's wonderful news.
Seeing no other hands, we'll vote on the amendment. All in favor? None opposed. Great. And going back to the main motion, any more discussion as it is now an amended motion? No hands, call the question, all in favor? Opposed, great, okay. Number 2 on the list here, Director Elliott.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a motion I put together as a result of a meeting with a prospective investor in a prospective business coming up. And whether this business goes forward or another business goes forward, forestry bio mass is an excellent prospect for our area. And so I thought we could meet with the Premier and other appropriate ministries and ask for support in general of the province to market our area as needing investment in potentially forestry biomass type projects. And I think they're ramping up projects and programs for investing to try and market us to the world. And it's an ideal time for that, given the climate today. And we are on the top of the lists of forestry communities impacted by recent mill closure. And so I would also love if Tla'amin wanted to join us at this meeting. I haven't had a chance to reach out or what have you, but I have in the motion on proposed, it says to invite the city of Pell River, but we could also add the Tla'amin Nation if they wanted us to do that. So I would move the motion and add an invitation to Tla'amin Nation to this one as well, because they would be solid partners in any venture such as this.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I like the fact that we're including Tla'amin Nation with the invitation, because as has been discussed around this table, the Tla'amin Nation have a vested interest in what's going on down there. I guess the one hiccup I have, and I guess it's a question for our CAO, is the motion specifies, such as Sestero Green Fuels for Blue Skies who want to produce clean aviation fuel. I see that language relation to that one business or investment group is also found in like the supplementary information, but I'm wondering about the appropriateness of specifying a specific business or company in terms of like our advocacy for what's going on at that site, because we are prohibited from, I know, giving any financial contribution to any specific company. And I'm just wondering if we should cross that out of, say, the motion itself to kind of make it more broad and from a high level. And I'm just wondering what the thoughts are from the CAO in relation to having language promoting a company from working on that site. Is that be perceived as supporting a business? Not really supposed to.
CAO?
Through the chair, I guess I would pose a question to Director Elliott as to what the intent of this meeting is the meeting to promote this no, not the company itself, but the opportunity for, I believe there was some, maybe it was in your write-up about the studies that are required. Because if that's the real intention, then I think you would be correct, Director Gisborne, in striking out any mention of a company. If you were granted the ministerial meeting, you could obviously then talk to about examples are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I'm okay with that. It sounds really wise, and I thank Director Gisborne for the suggestion.
Okay, so essentially, Director Gisborne, you're making an amendment that the words between the two dashes be struck out?
Well, Sestero and then the words between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, such as.
Yeah, starting at such as and ending with aviation fuel.
Yeah, I propose as amendment that we strike that out.
Okay, and Director Elliott, you seconded it, I guess?
Yeah, that's probably a really wise idea.
All right, Director Lennox, were you seconding or you want to comment?
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I really applaud us getting to this particular amendment. I am very uncomfortable indicating individual companies. But I do fully support knowing about fiber supply with my other role and in the province. And as Director Elliott said, the loss of the forest industry in our town, the opportunities around biomass in general, I think is where my mind is at, because that's a pretty large topic. and it's included in fiber supply decisions in the province. So appreciate the amendment. Thanks.
I have one quick question, actually, because what happens at that site is so important to the city of Powell River. Has there been a similar request made by by council or not?
So I could go forward with a request there as well. If they agree to come to our meeting, I don't know that the minister would want to meet twice about the same thing. And so I thought a more inclusive approach regionally might be suited to all local governments. And so I thought I would give it a shot here and see how the board feels. If the board feels it would be more appropriate over the city, I could take this same request over to the city.
We've got it here. Makes sense. I just was curious if
So to do it the other way didn't seem as inclusive to me.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Any other comments prior to the vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous, carries. Now, item number 3, now.
Chair, that was the, yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was the amendment. I apologize. Let's go back again now to the main motion as amended. So those words are struck out and it's not part of the amendment, but the Tla'amin Nation was added as well as an invitee. Are there any comments on the main motion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Director Southcott.
Anyone. Ironically, I understand that disposal of wood waste is now an issue because it's no longer being able to be sold as hog fuel or etc. to the mill. So this targets two problems, and I'm really excited about that for our local industry.
Yeah, and I would definitely be able to speak to that if we got a meeting.
I had to mention that because it's.
Okay, great. So no other comments. Let's call the question. All in favor? Carries unanimously. Now, item 3, you can't just withdraw because we have it on the agenda, correct? Go ahead, CAO.
Through the chair. We attended that Ministry of Transportation and Transit meeting a little while back. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the things that they said was for a local pocket, no need for eventual meeting at the UBCM ministerial meetings and advocacy. For something a little bit broader and wider than their local pocket of funding, they said game on, help them out to get that funding shuffled into our area. So with regard to the one regarding number 3, I believe it is, to make sure I've got them on order here.
Brendan. Over infrastructure.
Yes, yes. That is, the intention is to go there and advocate for climate adaptation program funding, which is within their local bailiwick. So Patrick Devereaux and myself had a meeting with Reno Parise the very next day. And we got this all ironed out and said, what should we be going to the province for at UBCM? And he recommended this one. So I would definitely keep this one in. The other one.
But let me interrupt a bit. So it's for climate adaptation program, but in the package it's talking about culvert infrastructure needs. So we have to modify the
Culvert infrastructure getting the funding from climate adaptation.
Oh, okay. Right. Sorry, continue, please.
No, deal with number 3. That's it. I
Okay.
recommend
So
you
moved.
keep this one in.
I saw, okay, it's been moved. Seconder, Director Lennox seconds. Thank you very much. Any comments? Director McCormick.
Thank you. So this is to schedule the meeting to discuss the climate adaptation funding, to discuss whether that funding could be used to address the culvert infrastructure deficiencies. Is that what they requested?
That's CAO.
Through the chair, in the Texada Island drainage study, these areas were identified. They are on their radar. To get these things moved forward, actually constructed or remedied, repaired, improved, whatever, they would need access to the climate adaptation program. So the intention is to go there to promote and advocate for getting those culverts fixed, and then direct the minister's attention to climate adaptation, where to get monies from.
Okay. You can go ahead.
I did have a conversation with Reno after the meeting, and he indicated that work has begun on 2 of the culvert projects. And so I didn't want to kind of rock any boats that are already happily sailing. So, but if you feel that that is a bigger picture thing to look at that particular fund, then I guess I'm okay with it. There's certainly a lot of infrastructure that needs fixing, and it would be great, but I don't want to rock the boat in that they're already doing some work on it, so I don't want to appear that we're not grateful for the work that they're already doing.
Right. You don't want to step on any toes, but it sounds as though Mr. Devereaux and the CAO have had a conversation with Reno after your conversation with Reno, and as long as we're not going to be offending anybody by going for this meeting, I think probably pretty good to. If there are no other comments, we'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed. Motion carries. And item 4, you have some.
It's through the chair. Patrick and I discussed this one with Reno the very next day as well. And this is local pocket of money he's got to play with. I believe if you remember, he said that he had worked out a deal with his partner in the Lower Sunshine Coast that he gets it 1 year and he gets it, then Reno would get it the next. In that little arrangement, it's my understanding that Reno is in line for that funding. However, the two of them, they're never guaranteed that money because it can be pickpocketed from them and distributed down the Lower Mainland somewhere in a heartbeat. So what Reno has suggested is, in this instance, it doesn't hurt to go after some advocacy in this regard, because if there is a little bit of tug of war or push and shove going on, at least we will have advocated to the minister that we want this money up here, don't take it to the Lower Mainland. So he was in support of this one as well.
Okay.
Even though he did kind of go against what he had said the day prior, but he was supportive. So both of these are being done based on advice from Reno himself.
Great. It's good to have the support of the local MOTT reps on our side, Director McCormick and then Director Gisborne.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, and I'm really grateful for that. So I just don't want to rock any boats that are, like I said, already sailing. So if we did go and advocate that this project be one that is approved, the regional manager, whose name is escaping me right now, but who was there, who's Michael Braun's boss, regionally at South Coast, and he said that anything that comes out of UBCM will go back to him for action, and he's already on top of this, and he didn't seem to think it was necessarily the right thing to go to UBCM.
Yep.
Through the chair, if I'm not mistaken, he's also the one that will say, no, we're going to keep that money in the Lower Mainland. Sorry.
Okay.
Gisborne?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine actually requesting another topic be added to our meeting with the Honorable Mike Farnsworth, because we did just pass a motion asking for a meeting with Mike Farnsworth regarding the Texada Island, infrastructure and culverts. So I presume that these would be done together at the same meeting, or we wouldn't be like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 2:00. I'm just wondering, because when we do talk to ministers, quite often they want to be, high level, looking down over a broad area. And this proposed motion, which we don't have on the floor yet, is specific to the gravel shoulders on Gillies Bay Road between School Road and Shelter Point Road. So it's the gravel shoulders on one section. And I'm wondering, should the motion be a bit broader on, ensuring that we get funding to our region for the widening of gravel shoulders throughout our region, and maybe kind of help make sure that funding keeps coming, because which shoulder gets the widening would come down to like managers and operations, but the minister, I think, would be the one that would be able to say like, no, that region still needs to get their funding each year. Would that be a better motion, I guess, for having this meeting, to be more broad, or do we want to make it very specific to one road on Texada? Because I think that then does get into our issues with the managers.
Go ahead, CAO.
Through the chair, well, I don't think we need to get in that detail, because this is coming right from Reno. Reno knows what he's talking about. Reno can explain the story if he's questioned.
Okay, so the motion can stay as is, or is it? Okay.
I guess I have one Question. So widening the gravel shoulders, were we advocating for widening the paved shoulders or?
Understand that the shoulders currently are gravel,
Mhm.
but I believe the intention is to get them more solid and without getting and going down a rabbit hole right now.
Sure.
I think you just leave it as is, because I'm not gonna.
Okay, sounds good. Seeing no other hands, we'll call the question on this one. Oh, no, we don't have a motion yet,
So
so,
moved.
okay, thank you. Gisborne and Director McCormick. Any more discussion?
Well,
Oh, sorry, Director McCormick.
mind hearing from Mr. Devereaux, and his comments on it as well. You know, I'm no argument with the CAO and that's all good, but he's kind of worn that hat and has an understanding of how MOT works. So,
Mr. Devereaux?
Yes, through the chair, the CAO articulated exactly right what came from that meeting. Full support for both these resolutions to the Ministry of Transportation and Transit.
Thank you for your comment. Seeing no other hands, I'd like to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Carries. No reports, no bylaws, no new business. Mr. Galinsky, question period.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Everything's pretty clear. I don't have any questions this afternoon.
Great, thanks. In-camera session, Director Gisborne, you want to read that?
Yep. The board move in camera, the meeting be closed to the public on the grounds that the subject matter to be considered relates to matters covered by the community charter under section 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the regional district or another position appointed by the regional district, and then the consideration of whether a board meeting should be closed under provision of this subsection or subsection 2.
Seconded by Director Elliott. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. None opposed. We're going in camera.
This as well. Well-oiled machine over here. Those are replacement Roger.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we are back into the open session, and we'd like to rise and report that the board appointed Seneca Anthony to the Agricultural Advisory Committee as a member at large for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2026, and that the board reappointed Peter Tuner to the Texada Airport Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2027. With that, we've reached the end of our agenda, and this meeting is adjourned. Done deal.
Good day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
You guys.
Yeah.
Good luck with your lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.